Your daily dose of sports talk is here. Highlights, interviews, and analysis. From the entertainment capital of the world, SportsWrap with Jason Page starts now.
Yes, it does. On this Friday, and great to have you with us all across America and Canada for this Friday edition of the show. We got a lot to do over the next 60 minutes. Sam Yarnell drops by in about 10. Recap the Cowboys-Lions affair in Detroit on Thursday night. We said it was going to be a banger, and it was. What it all means for the NFC playoff picture, the wild card picture. Look at some of the paths for both of these teams. We'll also be joined by Robert Littal, the founder of Black Sports Online. Hangs out with us every single Friday on the show to talk about the top stories of the week, which I'll always enjoy talking about. A lot of NBA stuff to get into with him. Also some things from the media sphere to get into. Page versus the Prince, NFL picks for Week 14 coming your way at the end of the show as well. But we start things out with the big story. And the big story on Thursday night was the Cowboys and the Lions going at it in Detroit. And to me, last night was a metaphor for the entire Dallas Cowboys season. Everything that we have watched over the, first, they're 6-1, so that's 13 games of the season. It feels like it all sort of came together last night. Everything that we saw from the troubles on defense, which started with the move at the beginning of the year to trade away Micah Parsons because Jerry Jones couldn't figure out a way to work out a deal with him and his agent. The slow start that the Cowboys got off to last night, very reminiscent of the slow start they got off to this season, when they almost seemed like a deer in headlights in a fog. Really struggling to do anything, especially on the defensive side of the ball. Then what do? They go and make trades at the deadline to go and try and improve this defense, which they did, but not enough, and too little too late. And they had to play perfect, basically, over the second half of the season in order to make the playoffs. Now I think they have a 9% chance to make the playoffs after dropping to 6-1, after winning 3 straight games and losing this game last night, after beating the Chiefs and the Eagles. The Cowboys still find themselves in a position where they're probably not going to make the playoffs, barring something unforeseen. Sometimes crazy things happen. You never know what'll transpire over the final few weeks of the season. But it felt like a metaphor for everything we've seen with the Cowboys throughout this entire year. And we're once again left, and fans of the Cowboys are once again left to wonder what could be. And there's an even bigger question here, and that is Dak Prescott. It feels like they are wasting the prime of a 32 or 33-year-old Dak Prescott right now, who's playing some of the best football we've seen him play throughout his entire career. We heard Justin Jefferson on Thursday expressing his frustration with what has been the most difficult season of his career. All the quarterback turmoil that's taking place in Minnesota with the Vikings. And you start asking the question, are they wasting Justin Jefferson's prime? We hear that question posed when it comes to somebody like Joe Burrow. Are the Bengals wasting the prime of Joe Burrow? Now, obviously, injuries are playing a role in that as well, but it is a legitimate question to ask whether that franchise is wasting one of the great quarterbacks. It's kind of reminiscent of Dan Marino, isn't it? Went to a Super Bowl, got to taste what playing in a Super Bowl is like, but then ultimately unable to get over that hurdle of winning that Super Bowl, and then just kind of meandering for years because the Dolphins just weren't very good, or they were just good enough to maybe be a playoff team or be on the cusp, but couldn't win a Super Bowl with Dan Marino, one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time. I wonder if at the end of the career for a guy like Joe Burrow, we're going to be saying the same thing. But in the case of Dak, it feels like right now he is playing his very best football, and the Cowboys are not putting the very best around him. Big story number 2, LeBron James and the Lakers. LeBron had a 1,297 game regular season streak going into last night of scoring 10 points or more for those 1,297 games. Well, last night that streak came to an end. But as you see, the Lakers still won in one of those moments that is completely emblematic of what LeBron James' career has been for all 23 seasons. The guy that was willing to make the right play over making the selfish play. The guy that didn't have to take the winning shot to get to that 10 points. Look, even if he had missed, the game would have gone to overtime. It wasn't like it was a make or miss, win or lose moment for the Lakers in that moment last night where LeBron tosses up that shot. It wasn't a win-lose moment. If LeBron had taken the shot and got to 10 points, if the game goes to overtime, he's definitely going to get his 10 points. There was a million reasons why LeBron James in that moment could have chosen himself to take that shot, driving down the lane, a smaller defender. What did he do? What he's done his entire career. He made the right basketball play. And he found Rui Hachimura in the corner, and Rui hits the game-winning shot, and the Lakers win. I think they're 15-6 now on the season. LeBron's only played in a handful of games and still getting his feet under him. He shot it terribly last night. I think he was 4 of 17 shooting in the game. But it didn't matter. All that mattered was the Lakers winning. And that's been LeBron his entire career. And Jordan fans, shut up. We know your guy was nobody's saying LeBron is, well, some people are. Sam might say that LeBron is the greatest of all time. At worst, he's the second best player to ever play the game. Can you just enjoy that without having to take a dump on it because you want to elevate Michael Jordan, who hasn't played in a game in a zillion years? Shut up. Stop. By year 23, Michael Jordan wasn't even he was an afterthought. So just stop with the Michael Jordan stuff. We get it. We get it. If you're a Jordan guy, you're a Jordan guy. Don't use Jordan to diminish what LeBron continues to do in his year 23 season. Can't you appreciate what you're watching with this guy? You will appreciate it long after he's gone, because that's what we do. Don't know what you got till it's gone. We're going to be gone for just a couple of minutes, and then we're going to come back. We'll get into this NFL game more and see what Sam Yarnell has to say about the Cowboys' loss in Detroit against the Lions, what it means for their playoff hopes, and Detroit's. That's next. Welcome back to the show. Robert Littal, the founder of Black Sports Online, joins us in 10 minutes. We'll talk about the top stories of the week, including LeBron James. LeBron James. His vaunted streak came to an end last night. Something Sam and I actually had discussed on the show yesterday, the streak. Or we might have talked about it off the air, I don't remember. But while his streak came to an end, he did something else that was just wild. We'll get into that. Sam, I talked about it at the open in the big story about the Thursday night football game, and I'm anxious to get your thoughts about it. I maintain that last night for the Cowboys was a metaphor for their entire season. The fact that you had a team that dug itself a hole last night, couldn't get out of it, played well enough and made some, got it to within a touchdown, but could not get out of that hole that was too big that they had dug early in the game. I think they were down 27-9 at one point in that game. Dug themselves too big a hole. It's a metaphor to me for what happened with them this season. They get rid of Micah Parsons at the start of the season. He goes off to Green Bay, and we see what he's done there. And the Cowboys dig themselves too big a hole in terms of a win-loss record so that they have to be perfect in the second half of the season, and they simply can't do it. Last night, to me, felt like a metaphor for everything that the Cowboys have gone through this season, Sam.
Yeah, a metaphor for they're just not good. They weren't ever good. Maybe I've been staunch in this belief since before the season started. and it was just proven correct last night, right? Like, this is not a good football team. Before the Micah Parsons trade, not a good football team. After the Micah Parsons trade, still not a good football team. Well, even more not of a good football team then. Went out and made the Quinnen Williams move. Still not a good football team. All these moves at the deadline. Still not a good football team. Went on a couple of good wins. Played upset for a couple of, played spoiler for a
Eagles
couple
and
of weeks.
Chiefs.
That's the word I couldn't think of. Yeah, they still weren't good, and they're still not good, and they weren't good last night. And it showed you in all three phases. And I don't know, man. This is a team in the Dallas Cowboys that we, the general American sports viewing public, somehow let Jerry Jones convince us that was somehow going to be a contender. Because despite him having told us that for the last, 36 months and it not being true, we somehow decided to believe him over the last 4 weeks. It never made a lot of sense. The Cowboys, again, they were what they are. They're exactly what we told you they were going to be before the season. Not a good football team. They'll beat a couple good football teams, but that doesn't make them a good football team in and of itself. So yeah, Cowboys fans, you find yourself where you found yourself so many times, so many seasons in recent history, and that is staring down the barrel once again of not making the playoffs and questioning everything that exists about that organization. But I think it seems that over the last, 7 or so months, Cowboys fans have come to the same understanding that you and I and so many other members of the media have, Jason, and that is you're just a victim of your owner at this point. And as long as Jerry Jones maintains the dictatorious control he has over that franchise and organization, you're just not going to go anywhere for just that long.
You know, something else that I think is worthy of bringing up. One, I think they're an elite offense, but cast that aside for a second. I think another fair question to ask, we've been asking this in Cincinnati about the Bengals. Are they wasting the prime of Joe Burrow? Are the Cowboys wasting the prime of Dak Prescott? Let's face it. There was a time where I think it was very fair to criticize the play of Dak Prescott. Dak Prescott's playing really good football, and it feels like his prime is being wasted right now, Sam.
I don't know. Really good football feels like a stretch. Like the ceiling for Dak Prescott is like the ninth or maybe probably ninth best quarterback in the NFL, which is fine. But like, can you win who's the last ninth best quarterback in the NFL to win a Super Bowl? Let's just be honest with ourselves. Hasn't happened in a really, 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 really long. Like even Big Ben was better than the ninth best quarterback in the NFL when he won Super Bowls. So I just think that Dak, you saw it last night, right? The interceptions are always going to be a problem. He can make big throws, yeah, but when push comes to shove and when his team needs him not to, he always seems to throw an interception, as he did twice last night.
Well, one of those wasn't necessarily on him.
One of those was probably the fault of George Pickens, and that's something else we can get into, Jason, because Richard Sherman was very quick to get into it on the postgame show last night, but George Pickens is a free agent this offseason, and he played the second half of that game like he didn't want to be there. That's a guy who is going to find himself shunned away from Dallas and losing money fast this offseason.
Yeah, I think they're going to still have to figure out a way to bring him back because he's so important to what they do offensively. I want to talk about the Lions, though, because Detroit last night, for much of that game, looked like the Detroit we expected to see this season, and a Detroit that, if they get into the playoffs, are just as capable if they play at that level. But the problem is they're so inconsistent. And we've seen this with this team all season long. We've been trying to put our finger on it. Why is this team so inconsistent? Why can't that version of the Lions that we saw for so much of last night show up for 4 quarters, Sam? They can't afford any more losses at 8-5, which sounds crazy. But when you look at the playoff standings right now, they still can't afford any more losses. They have no wiggle room. The Niners are the third wild card right now at 9-4.
Right. So the important part there is, right, no matter what happens the rest of week 14, going into week 15, the Detroit Lions are going to be an 8-win football team out of the playoff picture. That is incredible, Jason Page. Yeah. It speaks to how good the NFC is this season. It speaks to how good the NFC North is this season and what the regression of the, perpetually fraudulent Minnesota Vikings has done for that division compared to the seemingly rebirth of the Chicago Bears. it really is a competitive NFC right now, more so than we've seen in a very, very, very long time. The Lions are going to have to work very hard, right? Rams, Steelers, Vikings, Bears, and 3 of those are on the road in their remaining schedule. It's tough for the Lions. It's still an uphill battle.
6 losses is going to be hard to get in with. But, I mean, it's not impossible. If they were to lose one more game, that they could still potentially get in. But in my hunch is they're going to lose at least one of those games probably next week, which is going to make the last 3 games must-wins for them.
The craziest thing about this whole NFC playoff picture, the Rams, currently 9-3, the 2 seed in the NFC, could finish as a wild card team.
Oh, absolutely. Who would have thunk it? NFC was the more stacked division or more stacked conference this year. Robert Littal is the founder of Black Sports Online. He does a terrific job on everything sports related. I want to get into it with him on LeBron's big night last night and a whole bunch more. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back. I always love Fridays. Gives me a chance to bring in this guy. Our good friend Robert Littal, the founder of Black Sports Online, hanging out with us in all his splendor. Sporting the Wu-Tang Ric Flair shirt this week. You got the SportsWrap colors in there, though. It's good. You got the orange in there. I can't avoid Ric Flair. Every time I hit like YouTube, somehow he's in my algorithm. Like Ric Flair, wrestling stuff in general is in there, but it's always Ric Flair. It's Ric Flair and Hulk Hogan stuff that's in my
Ric Flair
algorithm.
and Bobby Brown are the 2 individuals I can't believe are still alive.
Bobby Brown. It's
Just consider their lives.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, man, you made it through.
Ric Flair outliving Hulk Hogan was not something I had on my scorecard.
Yeah. I mean, sometimes, you know, there's certain individuals that go hard and it's quick, and other ones can just go hard and they live to like 95. It's like no rhyme or reason to it.
It's Keith Richards. For the Rolling Stones, man. Keith Richards will be the last thing left on this earth. There'll be the cockroaches and Keith Richards, and that's it. Nobody else. And the owner of the Detroit Lions, apparently, because she's like 100 years old too. So I want to get your thoughts on a few things, obviously, which is why we have you on. I want to start in the NBA because I talked about it a little bit in the big story, and that was LeBron James and what he accomplished last night. 1,297 consecutive games, regular season, which all the Jordan fans want to point out. I know, because we got to protect our heroes. I know, but I mean, the streak ending the way it did with him making that pass to Rui Hachimura for the game winner, and people could see it here. For the game winner last night for the Lakers in a road win in Toronto against the Raptors. That is everything LeBron James' career has been. It's always been about making the right play at the right time, the right pass at the right time. Last night, a perfect moment for LeBron James. The streak ends, but the Lakers win.
Yeah, I find it interesting because if they were getting blown out, you know, he would have tried to keep the streak going. I think there is a little duplicity to LeBron. He's aware of certain things.
Sure.
You know, they
lost
were
to
down by
Phoenix.
20,
They got blown out by Phoenix, and he's still in the game, and they're down by 30.
But there's other things I think that, as far as athletes, I always feel like it's ingrained in them. Like, you can't teach Barry Sanders, right? You know, you can't teach Michael Jordan. You can't teach Shohei. Like, it's just certain things that and I don't think in that moment, it's ingrained in him to make that pass. And that's just something. When I watched him in high school, when he was playing with guys that were 5'5", and, you know, he was already around 6'6", he would make that same pass to a point guard or a shooting guard in the corner that was 5'3", 135 pounds. That's just how it's ingrained in him. And it's probably something when you talk about his entire career, and he has a lot of highlights. To me, like you said, that's something, if I was him, you start with that.
Yeah, I agree with you. And the Lakers, look, when you talk about that next batch of teams in the West, because it's Oklahoma City right now and everybody else, when you talk about that next batch of teams, why not the Lakers? And the reality is That 2 seed in the West, and I said this yesterday on the show, that 2 seed in the West is going to be as coveted as it's ever been because it means you avoid Oklahoma City until the conference finals, which brings up the possibility of, hey, maybe somebody upsets them, maybe they get an injury, maybe they're worn out by the time they get to us in the conference finals. That 2nd seed's going to be huge.
Yeah, I think for all of the other teams in the West, they have these superstar, players on their teams. They have the LeBrons and the Lukas and the Jokic's and the Kevin Durant's. They have guys that have carried, series before. So the main thing in my mind is get there healthy. If you're Jokic, you're like, I need Aaron Gordon. I need Jamal Murray. If you're LeBron, you're like, I need Luka. I need Austin Reeves. If you're KD, I got to get there, and I need Sengun, and you got to get if you get healthy, I think, especially with a team that probably is going to coast in Oklahoma City to the number 1 seed, I think you have a chance. Because the Oklahoma City won 67 games last year, and they had to fight to win the championship. It was not all, it wasn't 4-4-4. They had to fight to win that championship. So I don't think the difference in a series is as great as it may be in the regular season where Oklahoma City is beating up on teams, that just simply aren't as good as them.
Yeah, and the reality is when you see a team every day or every other day for 6 or 7 games, obviously these series play out a lot different in terms of how you defend. Are the Clippers, I hate to sound West Coast centric, but are the Clippers irretrievably broken to you, Robert? When you watch what's going on,
yes.
Why not the franchise? I mean, most teams move into a new arena and they're built for success. This team moves into a new arena and it's falling apart.
Yeah, I think when they got Ballmer, I think there was some hope that, it's a new, it's not like Sterling and everything. But even though he's not doing Sterling-like things, there are some things that kind of remind you this is why the Clippers have been the Clippers, for ever since they've been, to L.A. I think he has to blow it up. I think, he tried this way and it's not going to work. And he has to look at, but he traded so many picks. That's the crazy thing. Their pick may end up be the number 1 pick and going to Oklahoma City. So Ballmer and all of his wisdom has maybe destroyed the NBA for himself and all of the other competitors because they just keep making Oklahoma City strong. So, I definitely think there has to be an implosion here. I think the Chris Paul thing was the first, die to be cast. I wouldn't be shocked if at the, that Harden is gone by some point, and then Kawhi is on his way out as well, and they just start over fresh. They got to get some picks back somehow.
Where does Harden land? That's an interesting one. We're all talking about Giannis Antetokounmpo, which is obviously a bit of a mess now because of this calf injury. It's going to keep him out at least 2 to 4 weeks, and teams are going to be taking a buyer beware approach because we know what calf strains ultimately lead to. This is the second one he's had in as many years. People are going to start to wonder, do we go and trade all these assets for him? And then he winds up tearing his ACL, or tearing his Achilles, rather, and we wind up losing him for the rest of the season. I wonder where a guy like Harden winds up here in the final 30
with Harden,
seconds.
it has to be like an assassin. It has to be a one-time thing. You need one guy to maybe get you over the hump, but you got to do it in a way that you don't give up your entire, team. Because then if it doesn't work, now you're stuck again.
But what the Clippers are going to want is draft picks.
Yeah. So, and it's crazy. Nobody really has them, except the teams that are already really good and don't need a James Harden, don't need I'm sure if OKC was like, we want Giannis, they would get it done, but why? It's not necessary.
You see teams these days, they're dealing like picks for like 2032 because they've given up all their picks already for the next couple of years. We're coming back with Robert Littal. More to do with him on this Friday edition of Sports Wrap. Welcome back. Robert Littal hangs out with us for one more segment. The founder of Black Sports Online joins us every single Friday on this show. He's such a good dad. He brings his daughter to school. I love it.
It's her birthday. It was her birthday yesterday.
What was that again?
It was her birthday yesterday. She turned 5.
Oh, she turned 5.
Yeah, big party today.
Big party? How big?
Yeah. Well, not big. Big party. When I say big party, I don't mean people. I mean gifts.
Oh, okay. That's what we all miss about being kids. Is all those gifts we used to get. What did you make of Max Kellerman and this whole thing with him sort of coming out and talking to Bill Simmons about, his time and really opening up in a way that we hadn't seen about his time with Stephen A. Smith and sort of the reaction to that?
Yeah, I think he was being honest. I mean, I think we all know it's a bit WWE-ish in the way that show works. And I did find it interesting because I know that, we both know how it goes before the show going. Oh, I'm going to say this, you're going to say that. It's very scripted in that way, and I'm going to react this way. I did thought it was interesting that he said that he had to be forced into this pigeonhole where he had to find the hot take for Stephen A. to do the reaction so Stephen A. could go, viral. And then that he felt that, Stephen A., it was exhausting and embarrassing for Stephen A. for him to embarrass him on a semi-regular basis. But I thought the most actually important thing that everybody should have maybe missed was he said that at a certain point, Stephen A. realized that solo acts make more than duos and groups. And he could not, get the power and get the money and get the attention that he wanted if people saw him in a 50-50 relationship, which is what a lot of people saw him with Skip and what was people seeing him with Max. So the only way to take over, it was he had to do it, he had to be Judas, he had to be Brutus, he had to take out Caesar. And so he could be the number one person, on the throne. And that has worked out for him in the long run.
What's Molly Karam up to? I saw you posted something about her over on your X feed.
Yeah, she's out. She's out
doing?
in Dubai right now, living off the ESPN checks that she's still making. I've heard that she already has something lined up as soon as that contract is up. In 2026. It's probably going to be, I believe, NBA related. But yeah, she think of, Kay Adams. I think it's going to be something, similar to that.
What's remarkable to me? Elle Duncan just left ESPN for her deal with Netflix, and they're going to let her moonlight and do other things with other networks. But she's left ESPN for Netflix. And I just wonder, how many of these women that leave ESPN wind up having overwhelming success somewhere else? We've seen it with men. Dan Patrick was able to do it. Dan Lebitard was able to do it. Rich Eisen, to a degree, was able to do it. There have been more than enough cases and examples. Colin Cowherd left and has had success. Skip Bayless left and had success for a little while. It seems like when it comes to the women of ESPN that leave, there isn't necessarily the same track record of success, Robert.
Well, I think Maria Taylor
getting jobs, really yes.
Yeah.
But in terms of being notable or somebody that's on the tip of people's tongues, it feels like ESPN just feels like, hey, we could just recycle next generic blonde, generic, black woman that we're going to put into.
I have to admit, First Take doesn't seem like nothing really changed when that happened. I think also, even though it's 2025, but we're still living in a quote, I won't say the president's name, but we're still living in that world where, women talking about sports. I think now men feel a little more emboldened to talk down to that because of the things that are going on, in society. I do think there's other opportunities for women because they're able to create a brand outside of ESPN because of social media. They can stay relevant in that ways. So I think it is a little bit, hit or miss when you leave, but it's kind of always been like that with ESPN. Sometimes it takes a little while. It took Dan Patrick a little while. It took Rich Eisen a little while to kind of get that footing going. But I think Molly's going to be, I actually think Molly's going to be okay. I think people are going to see her in a different light because she's outside of the ESPN bubble now.
We talk about our friend Beetle. Michelle was at ESPN, had all that success, left. Everybody forgot about her. She came back to ESPN, was having success again, and then she left again, and now nobody cares. And again, I say this as somebody who's a friend of her. I love her, but she's got 700 people watching her show on on YouTube right now. That's it.
Yeah, it's it's weird.
And she's as talented, and I will continue to say this till I die. She's as talented as anybody. If she can't make it work and become a star somewhere else, I don't know if there's a woman that can leave that ESPN ecosystem and be a star. Maria Taylor's nice. She has a great role carved out for herself. She's not a star. Nobody's turning on anything on NBC to watch Maria Taylor. That's just a fact. Hey, am I wrong? You really? Who's turning on? Come on.
I think it's very difficult for media people to become that type of star. Bob Costas, like, I think in these times, without doing certain things to make them cross over to that, I think the best you can get is Taylor Rooks. The best you're going to get is Maria Taylor.
I have no animus towards any of these women, by the way.
I think there's just a level to fame with journalism that for women, if you want to take it to, like, I want to be Sydney Sweeney, there are certain things that you would have to do that I'm sure they're not comfortable with.
Robert Littal, the founder of Black Sports Online, always great content on his X feed at BSO and at Black Sports Online. Always appreciate you, my friend. Have a wonderful weekend. Enjoy the birthday party.
All right, that just means I'm getting older. Have a good one, brother.
Welcome back. Page versus the Prince wraps things up in 10 minutes. NFL picks from Sam Yarnell and myself. I feel like it's one of those man, if you love football, and we do, it's one of those weekends, Sam Yarnell, where you just lock yourself up and you're just going to watch football. Are you wearing a JMU shirt? Shocker.
I've already got my best bets in for the Sun Belt Conference Championship on Friday night. Jason, you want them?
Their coach is leaving, isn't he? Isn't their coach taking off?
For UCLA, allegedly, but I'm still saying allegedly because I think he might secretly, under the hat, be in the mix for the Penn State job.
Nobody wants the Penn State job, Sam Yarnell. Haven't you figured this out by now? Nobody wants that job.
I'll take it.
Yeah,
I'll
sure
take
you will.
it. Hey, Penn State, you need a young, new, vibrant head coach to bring a new energy to that locker room. I'm your guy. Yeah. I'll get nice and comfy up in State College. Sam. No, but seriously, we also had breaking JMU news yesterday, Jason. Sun Belt Billy Napier back to the Sun Belt, back to JMU, leaving the SEC, coming back to the G5. Love to see it. I'm on JMU -6.5 in the third quarter tonight against Troy.
Wait a minute. You're already making a third quarter bet on a game that hasn't even started.
Oh, I made this third quarter spread bet on Monday.
Jesus. That's some next level stuff, man. Or as you would say, that's a choice. That's a choice. I'm with you on that. There are some great. I don't think I'll be tailing you on that. I don't nearly have as much faith in something like that. But hey, have at it. So there are some games this weekend. Obviously, major implications. Steelers Ravens is top of that list. Two teams that are 6-6. And remarkably, the loser of this game could still wind up winning the division. I mean, who the hell knows? And we talked about the Steelers who made a move this week trying to upgrade their receiving core. They let go of Darius Slay. Everybody's talking about Lamar Jackson, whether or not he is playing injured, why he looks a step slower. Saints and Steelers, Sam Yarnell, one of the games I got my eye on this weekend.
The Darius Slay thing is a wild story. We'll have to get into that another time next week because it really is crazy what's going on with Darius Slay. But yes, this game. And just think, Jason Page, this is our preview for this exact game happening in 4 weeks, week 18. So I'll tell you this much. One team is going to win this game. I can guarantee that. And then the other team is going to win week 18. That's about all I can promise you with regard to this series.
I don't know, man. I don't know if the Steelers are going to win either of these games, Sam.
It's Mike Tomlin against the Ravens. See, this is what happens every year, right? So I'm going to guess that they win the first one, actually. I won't add it to my card, but figuratively add it to my card. This is right when Mike Tomlin hits everybody. Right when everyone gives up on Mike Tomlin. Right when everyone's ready to say, oh, Mike Tomlin's out. It's time for him to think about leaving. No. This is when Mike Tomlin comes in, beats a divisional opponent that he's beaten so many times in his career, and retakes the lead in win that division. God, I hate the Steelers, but I love them this weekend.
The AFC North has that showdown. The NFC North has the Bears and Packers, both with 3 losses. The difference is the Packers have that tie against the Cowboys, which in this case obviously hurts them when talking about that NFC North. Everybody's on the Bears right now. Nobody can really put a finger on why they're on the Bears. They're winning a lot of the close games that they've lost in years past, Sam. Green Bay hosting Chicago. How do you feel about it?
Yeah, Jason, everybody's on the Bears right now, but everybody's betting on the Packers in this game, and I don't quite get it. It doesn't make a ton of sense to me. I understand that, Jordan Love maybe has a little more experience than Caleb Williams, but I don't understand the handicap other than that. The Bears have downright been a better team all around than the Green Bay Packers have for the last 5 weeks at this point. So I think it's a Chicago spot. I think this is the long-awaited Bears victory in Lambeau that Packers fans have berated Bears fans about for what feels like a decade at this point.
Texans and Chiefs, the last of the 3 big NFL games that we got an eye on this weekend. Obviously a must-win for the Chiefs, who still in some regards control their own destiny, Sam.
No, oh my gosh. Come on.
They do. If they beat that Houston
game for both teams.
I agree.
This is an elimination game for both teams. When the Chiefs lose, as they probably will,
oh boy,
they'll be done. And should the Texans lose, should the Chiefs pull this one out of the fire, they'll have just that much more breathing room. Both these teams have to win out.
Folks, let's bookmark that one. Alabama and Georgia in college football this weekend. I know Indiana's playing Ohio State. The fact of the matter is they might play again in the playoffs, so I don't know how crazy I'm going to go about Indiana and Ohio State because both of them are going to be in the playoffs. But Georgia and Alabama, major ramifications on the postseason. I know. So does James Madison and Troy and Tulane.
Well, no, James Madison and Troy
Texas.
doesn't really. I mean, anyone who's betting on Troy in that game, I feel bad for you. I'm really sorry for you. Anyone who has broken down that game understands that it should be a cakewalk for James Madison. The big one that I'll be watching, and yes, Jason, I will be watching the Big Ten Championship because it is for something important, if not just for seeding within the college football playoff, that's going to be for the Heisman. So if you like Indiana in the game, bet Mendoza, and if you like Ohio State in the game, bet Julian Sayin, right? Other than that, in the college football space, ACC Championship, that's where I'm going to be locked. I think Duke beats Virginia in Charlotte, North Carolina. I really think it happens. SEC Championship.
You're hoping.
That's super frustrating. Alabama's got to be out with a loss.
You're hoping Duke beats Virginia because you just want the chaotic scenario that you've been talking about for the last 3 weeks. That's what you're hoping for.
Who doesn't love being right?
Smartest guy in the room. We're coming back with Page versus the Prince. NFL picks next. Just about time to put the wraps on this baby for a Friday. But before we do, a couple of reminders. If you haven't done so yet, make sure to subscribe to the Sports Wrap with Jason Page podcast. Available on all your favorite podcasting platforms: Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube Podcasts, iHeartRadio, TuneIn, Odyssey, Amazon, anywhere you get a podcast. You can listen to this show Monday through Friday, 45 minutes, bang. Available early in the afternoon, while you're in the shower, on the treadmill, in the car, planes, trains, automobiles, that whole thing. Make sure to check out the podcast. Also, the Sports Wrap with Jason Page YouTube channel. This is the place to go for all things Sports Wrap. We've got everything there for you. The show available Monday through Friday. Pro tip, it's there early in the afternoon. It's actually there before it's on television. So you can actually check it out commercial-free Monday through Friday on our YouTube channel. We also have Sports Wrap Shorts. They're usually about a minute long. They're perfect for the person on the go. News breaks like Justin Jefferson yesterday, talking about how unhappy he is and how disappointed this season has been for him in Minnesota. We had coverage of that yesterday on the show. Anytime news breaks, we've got it for you in Sports Wrap Shorts, available on our YouTube channel, but also available on our TikTok channel, Sports Wrap Jason Page, and on Instagram You guessed it, SportsWrap Jason Page. And without any further delay on this Friday edition of the show, there is only one thing left to do.
It's Friday, and that means it's time for the weekly face-off for sports betting bragging rights. It's Page versus the Prince on the SportsWrap.
Thank you, Chad Erickson. I think I went 2-2 last week. I don't know how you did. I'm just
2-1-1. Anyone's first push of the season with Buccaneers -3.
Wow. If losing's like kissing your sister, it ties like kissing your grandmother with her teeth out. That's what they say.
What?
That's what they say.
What?
Yep, that's what they say. All right, Sam Yarnell, deliver me from evil. Deliver me 4 wins this week, and I'll meet you at the window.
Yeah, well, we'll see, Jason Page. It's a tough week. A lot of good numbers out there. The sports books, they really know what they're doing. There's a reason they got big buildings out there in the middle of the desert where you live.
Yeah.
All right, so I got a 4-pack for you this week. And the first game that really spoke to me may make you want to hold your nose as usual. Dolphins and Jets. Right? Yeah, well, I think we get points in this game. This is a Dolphins team that's been productive offensively lately and a Jets team that's been able to keep up with their opponents. So I'm going to go Dolphins Jets over a low number, 41.5 -102. If you like that low number, you're going to love this low number. Saints Bucks over the 41.5, also -115 on that bet if you're looking to place it. Listen, the Buccaneers offense has been potent this year. They're getting back pieces at the right time. And it feels like the Saints over the last couple of weeks have been hanging in there like they did with the Dolphins last week, right? This is a team that's shown you under Tyler Shuck. They can move the ball. They can put up points. They are capable. So I'm going to go over another low number, 41.5 in Saints Bucks. Next, Falcons getting 6.5 against the Seahawks. Why? Well, first of all, the Seahawks are like the second most public play in the U.S. this week. So we're going to go against the public with the Falcons. Also, with all the money coming in on the Seahawks, the spread is going down, right? So all the money came in on the Seahawks at +7. You'd think that would make the Seahawks go, or Seahawks -7. You'd think that would make them go to -7.5. They're -6.5 now. So I'm going to go Falcons +6.5. And lastly, Bears-Packers, a game you and I talked about earlier, Jason. I'll go under the 44.5 in an NFC North divisional matchup. So Dolphins-Jets over 41.5, Saints-Bucks over 41.5, Falcons +6.5 against the Seahawks at home, and Bears-Packers under 44.5.
All right, Sam Yarnell. I also like that Seattle matchup with the Falcons, but for a different reason. I know you're doing sort of the contrarian play there with the Falcons because all the money's going on the Seahawks, but the Seahawks are just so much better. They've been blowing out teams all year. They've been blowing out bad teams all year. You know what the Atlanta Falcons are? A bad team. Give me Seattle minus the 6.5 on the road in Atlanta, game number 1. Jags and Colts. It's a tough game for me. But we don't shy away from tough games. I like the Jaguars +1.5 at home. You know how I feel about the Colts. I feel like their season's in a free fall. I wouldn't be shocked if they missed the postseason altogether. Steelers and Ravens, to me, feels like a missed number on the total. 43.5 feels high, considering the Steelers' offense has been abysmal. And the Ravens, well, I mean, again, a divisional matchup. I expect a low-scoring game here. I don't have a lot of confidence in that Ravens offense right now to carry what the Steelers aren't going to be able to do offensively. Give me the under 43.5 in that game. Again, we don't shy away from tough games here, Sam Yarnell. Houston and Kansas City. You know how I feel about the Chiefs. Give me Kansas City -3.5. They keep their season alive. Love the Chiefs. At home -3.5. They're not going down without a fight, Sam Yarnell. So there's my picks. Page versus the Prince. Week number 14 in the NFL. I'll probably go 2-2. It's what much of my season was before I hit a little bit of a skid. It's going to wrap it up for us. Sam, have yourself a wonderful weekend. Any final thoughts? No?
No.
Okay. No final thoughts from Sam. Thanks to Robert Littal. Thanks to all of you for watching. Make sure to catch Sports Wrap weekends. We're available. We'll see you back here on Monday.